stream, we're going to be doing the Invocation tier list. Yes, excellent. I bet no one was expecting this. Okay. I thought this would be nice to do, so then, like, in the guide, I don't have to, like, go over every single invocation, because it's a lot of preference. So it's just like, this is what I think. You can use it if you want, but this is what I think. Let's go through it. There's a couple that are going to be nests, and I bet you people already know what it's going to be. Okay. These two first ones, these invocations are 10 deaths and then 5 deaths. Oh, let me pull up the wiki actually really quick. Hold on one second. Yes, I have it. Okay. Okay, so try again is worth 5. Persistence is worth 10. These two are like pointless. You would pretty much never use these. Like, softcore is free, you get 3 deaths, and hardcore is worth more. So it's like, these two are the only ones that exist. These two are pointless. Just completely. I'm putting them in F. And I'll just be like, doing that. Yes. These are just pointless invocations. You'd never touch them. Like, pretty much for no reason to. Softcore is, like, useful. So, I'll put it... This is when it gets a little weird, because it's like, depending on what you're doing, it makes these like more or less viable. I feel like softcore is less used than hardcore is. I'm just going to do B. Oh, look at that. I'm going to do hardcore. Yeah. I think typically you would run hardcore, almost always. It's not a bad play. Time invocations are also a little weird. Those are hard to rank. These are used at different like scales. Softcore if you're poor and trash. It's not bad if it's like free. Like you can use it. You just save some money. Like sprint forts. I don't know. I feel like pretty much all of these except these are impossible to rank. I feel like walk fort gets the most use. It's probably the most useful one. Yeah, I mean, all the other ones have use as well. I think I'm going to put, like, Jog Fort and B tier. These are just weird and a little bit arbitrary. Just going to do that. I'll put these in C. I feel like these are the least used. Just because, like, you don't really get an opportunity to at the higher raid levels. You can use these at low raid levels if you're really fast, but I feel like you should just be pushing the raid level if you're, like, using these. Like, these aren't really worth using. Okay, Need Some Help is pretty free. You get less potions from life, but you still get 2 salt from power. So I use this one a lot. This is definitely A. Definitely A. Need Less Help. I know they changed this recently. I haven't gotten a chance to mess with it. They said that it was bugged and gave the same resources as this for the most part, so they changed that. But I've heard it also didn't really get changed. I'm putting it in F. As far as I know, it's not very worth using. It might be. I haven't looked into it. It was completely worthless before. You would either run Need Some Help or No Help Needed. And then No Help Needed is also pretty good. You're guaranteed to get a salt and an adrenaline out of power. And it's worth how much? It's worth 40. That is a ton of raid level. This is actually pretty good. This is pretty worth using. Is this list based on common use or difficulty? So it's based on the value, basically, of the like how much raid level it gives matters, how useful it is for the speed of the raid matters. So if something slows it down, that hinders it. I would say, I'd say this is also A. I think these are both equally useful. You could go with either of these. They're both good choices. Walk the Path is also really good. It's a very cheap 50. This does slow the raid down. They do have more health and defense, but it's very small, the amount of health and defense it gives. I think it would be hard not to put this in A as well. This is also A. These are just solid. Not much reason not to use them. At like an expert level, you might try to find something else to fill this in and not use it. You can also use it for 300 level. At a higher level, this is a given. You're going to have this on. What invo is this for? All levels. So it's just like keeping teams in mind, everything in mind, just in general, what I think, which invocations are worth using, which ones aren't. Pathseeker adds 1 level to every boss. It's worth 15. That's not a ton. Path Seeker's not really that good. It's very low raid level compared to the other two. I feel like this is a C. It has use, but I feel like you typically wouldn't turn this on. Typically. These two do have use. Pathfinder's worth 40. Pathmaster's worth 50. Pathfinder gives every boss 2 levels. Pathmaster gives every boss 3 levels. Keep in mind, Walk the Path is straight better than any of these because it's just 1 level per boss, and it's worth 50. So this is like, if you were using any of these 3, you're going to be using Walk the Path. Walk the Path is straight up better than all of these. I feel like these are a B. I think Pathfinder's a very typical one to have on. I'm going to give that a B. Pathmaster's also not bad, but it's only 10 more raid level, and it's 3 levels each. Pathmaster. Pathmaster's a toughie. There's a lot of cases where you try to get down to Pathfinder for other invocations. This is like between a B and a C. It's worse than Pathfinder, but I feel like it's still B. Like, this is still like a decent choice. It's not bad. I'm going to put it in B. I might sort this at the end. We'll see. Probably will. We put that here. Yeah. Oh, good one. The first good one. Hey, Quiet Prayers. Does anyone know where this is going to go? I would say Quiet Prayers is the second worst invocation. This is absolute trash for various reasons. Main reason is Zebak. It's really, really bad. You're taking chip damage from every single hit, especially now that Zebak, the safe spot on the corners is patched. Now you take even more damage if you have this on. Put it lower. Yeah, it deserves like, yeah, right there. Quiet Prayers is so bad. I have people ask me, should I use Quiet Prayers? No, you shouldn't. No, absolutely not. No, throw that in the garbage. Terrible. Quiet Prayers makes you take 10% damage through your protection prayer, which is very, 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 very bad. For obvious reasons. That's it. It's terrible. Main problem with it is Zebak. It's bad in a ton of bosses, though. Akka, it's terrible. P2, it's terrible. P3, it's terrible. P4, it's terrible. It's terrible. Enough. It's really bad. Deadly Prayers is... How much is Deadly Prayers worth again? 20? I think that's an A. Yeah. Deadly Prayers makes you take 20% prayer drain of the damage you take. So if you take like a 5, you're going to take 1 prayer point drain. And it also rounds down. So if it's a 4 or lower, it's 0 prayer points, which is very fair. Yeah, A. Very, very solid. Like, this is usually a take. You very rarely would not take Deadly Prayers. It's really, really nice. On a diet, it's worth 15, but like for how much it hampers you, it's not really a big deal. This doesn't really do much. It's usually free raid level. I'm feeling this is also A. We can't see the raid level. I'm reading it off. I didn't know of a good way to get it next to it, but I'll just say it if it's relevant. Is it A? Yeah, I think it's A. It's just like free raid level. It's like, why wouldn't you have this on? A is like, yeah, you would just have it on almost always, right? Dehydration. So dehydration's a weird one. It's a lot of people don't like it. I don't think not being able to drink brews is bad. I don't think that's the problem. The problem with this is you can't drink ambrosia. S tier? I don't know about S tier. Dehydration's worth 30. That's a ton of raid level. Prevents you from drinking any healing potion, which includes ambrosia, and it includes brews. With Yellow Kiris, you don't really need brews at all for any reason. And you also, if you're good at P4, you don't need ambrosia. That's where it's nice. Being able to drink ambrosia on P4, really, really nice. But once you've got a hang of it, this isn't really a problem. See, the thing with on a diet, though, is or not on a diet, dehydration, I feel like you wouldn't ever run it at like an expert level. So I feel like that hampers it. Even though it is worth 30, you still wouldn't. Like, you use this at a really high raid level, and that's it. I'm feeling B. It's worth a lot, and it is manageable, but it's not always a take. I don't think. I think B is fair. This also relies on you having Curious. I see people in the chat saying they don't have it. That's a struggle. Yeah, I think B is fair. This is fairly usable, more usable than people give it credit for, but it's not like the be-all, end-all. You wouldn't just have this on by default. Overly draining. I would say this is the third worst invocation in the game. Several reasons. Like I was saying with dehydration, Kira specs are your health. 75% spec energy and 50 prayer points gives you 118 health, which is insane. So this prevents you from healing as much. Other reason is specs are really good. You can't claw, you can't BGS, you can't bone dagger, you can't whatever you're doing, can't hammer. It causes problems. This is really bad if you can avoid using it. How much is overly? 15. This is worth 15. This is a scam. This is awful. This is actually the worst. Nah, okay. This is a really, really, really bad invocation. So if you can avoid using it, I do use it for the 540s. I do. This is what gets me up to 540 level. But this is avoid using it if you can, at all costs. Lively Larva. I always forget what this does. Let me read it. This is worth 5 raid level. It's very, very small. This is one of the few fibers. Number of dark brown eggs launched during Kefri's mass incubation attack will increase from 2 to 4. This is a nothing invocation. It's worth very little, and it does very little. I don't see any reason you turn it off or on other than I need 5 raid level to get to like a cap. This is like nothing. I'll put it in A. It's a free 5 raid level. There's no reason not to use it unless you don't, if you need to like drop 5 raid level. This is what it's for. It's just like nice that you have that as an option. Sure. A. Why not? It does like nothing. Okay. More overlords. Okay, more overlords. What it does is on Kefri, you normally just get a spitting as the first spawn of scarabs, and then the next spawn is a melee scarab and the arcane, and that's it. More overlords adds a melee scarab to the spitting on the first spawn, and it adds a spitting scarab to the second set of spawns. So you get 2 extra. This is a bad one. This slows down your raid by default. So if you can avoid using it, it's ideal. And it is only worth 15. That's not a small amount of raid level, but it also slows it down. It's okay in teams. Yeah, I agree. It's one of the worst room invocations. This is one I like to turn off if possible. I'm feeling like a high C or like a low B. I'm thinking C. Yeah, this is one of the worst ones. I'll sort this after. It's a little awkward without seeing everything laid out, but I will rank it at the end. Hang on, let me do this. Yeah, it's like it's not that bad to use, but it does slow you down, so it's ideal to avoid it. Blowing mud. Okay, this is one of the few where in solo this literally does nothing. It does absolutely nothing. Blowing mud is a free 10 raid level if you're solo. This is literally never worth not using if you're solo. If you're in a team, what it does is normally Kefri shoots out 1 line of dung at 1 person. If this is on, it shoots out 2. So 2 people get selected. So it does suck a little bit. This is one of the worst ones in teams. In solo, it's free, which makes it a little tricky, considering this is like across the board, like what you use. This is one I try to get off in teams, if possible. Becomes advantageous when you know what you're doing in teams. There are very easy ways to work around this. You got to be smart about it, though. It does require decent team coordination. Ooh, I'm feeling a B. It doesn't slow you down technically. You can work with it. It is a little annoying in teams. And in solo, it's free. I wouldn't say A. This isn't a given that you'd have it on. I'd say B. I think that's fair. I'm feeling B. Yeah, it can suck in high raid levels, or like with high amounts of teammates, so. Oh boy! It's everybody's favorite! Medic! Bing, 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 bing! This is the worst invocation in the entire game. This is the worst one. I actually made the mistake of saying Quiet Prayers is the worst on stream. This is the worst. Medic is worth 15 raid level. This should be worth about 50. Even at 50, I probably would avoid using it. That's how bad it is. Now, a lot of people, what Medic does is every 10 ticks or so, a slow-moving Scarab Swarm spawns on Kefri that moves towards her. It's a tile per every 2 ticks it moves. So very slowly goes towards her. So what this means is you need to shoot it down so it doesn't heal Kefri. It heals like 60 in solo, and it scales with each person in the raid. Now, a lot of people are like, well, in teams, it's not that bad. Well, here's the thing. In Medic, if somebody dies at Kefri in a team, raid's probably over. Because the healing that these do does not change when someone dies. This is the worst. This is so bad. If someone dies, it's probably over. If you lose too many people, it's 100% over. Like, the raid is done. It will heal more than you can deal. In an 8-man, if you're down to like 4 people or something, this is going to heal like 400 every Scarab Swarm that goes in. It's awful. It's so bad for so many reasons. This needs to be increased, like how much this gives. This is stupid. This is the dumbest. You never, ever take it if you can avoid it. This is what would get me up to 560 raid level. And I wouldn't take it. Wouldn't take it. If I can avoid it, no. Absolutely awful. Okay, Aerial Assault. So what Aerial Assault does is it's worth 10. It makes her typical attacks like Kefri does a 3x3. It does one more thing that people don't know a lot of the time. It increases the damage. So if you're in the dead center of that AoE when it hits harder. And if you're in the outside, it hits a little lower. In a solo, this is pretty free. Keeping in mind that this affects the Kefri side of Warden. If you end up taking it, I don't know why you would take that side. But if you chose to, it makes that harder. At high amounts of teammates, like an 8-man, this is awful. I think I would try to turn this off. Even at like a 500 raid level, this is really, really bad. But in a solo, it's very, very manageable. It's basically a free tenner in a solo. I'd say it's between B and C. Feeling a high C, I think. It's not great. And in teams, it's unusable, almost. But, you know. It's not bad in solo at all. So just keeping teams in mind, I think high C. It's not worth a ton of raid level, and you can avoid using it sometimes. How come you never go Kefri side on Warden? There's that. I'm going to get to the other reason in a second. We get down to Akka. Let's go over the Zebak ones. Not just ahead. I'm bad with the Zebak ones. What does not just ahead do? Oh, this is what causes him to do the Blood Barrage. Okay. You need this on to use Arterial Spray, I think. It doesn't let you use it. And I think you also need it to use Blood Thinners. So this, not using this locks you out of like a bunch of options. Very rare that you wouldn't use it. It's worth 10. By default, what it does is it's a 1x1, I think. It's just on your player character. And it hits you for a small amount of damage and heals Zebak. And there is an indicator. He has a little like icon under him that looks like a blood blitz. And you can catch it with Mage Spray. Unless he's level 4, then you can't. Not every time. It'll hit the same tick as the range projectile sometimes. You need to use it. S? I don't know about S. Is it S? It would be very low S or very high A. I'm thinking high A. I have an idea of how I'm going to form the S. This is a high A. I'll format these at the end again. There will be things going in S, I promise. Arterial Spray. This is the increased range, right? Yeah. It's worth 10. Zebak's Blood Magic will have increased range and healing. And you also need this on to use it. So this is like just straight up, I guess, by the way I'm doing the tier list, better than this. Still, though, it's A, I think. It's free. In solo, it does absolutely nothing. Have increased range and healing. Does that increase the damage it does, or does that just increase the amount he heals from the damage he deals? Higher tier is more difficult or better value? Better value. So I'm going off which ones are like you would use all the time, would be S. Yeah, this is kind of bad in teams, but it's really manageable. I think it's a free like 10 raid level, like no matter what. In solo, it does nothing. I'm going to keep it an A. I think it's a given you'd have both of these on almost always. This is better than this. That is still good. Ooh, blood thinners. Blood thinners. I think that's an S. I think this is the first S. I think there's literally no reason to ever have this off. Okay, what blood thinners does is it splits. What normally happens is Zebak can spawn a blood spawn that's really big. It's like a 3x3. And it goes around the room and it trails people. It's big. It's annoying. Blood thinners makes it split into 3 little ones. I don't know if it still works the same way it did. I believe it still dies faster than the big one, which actually makes this beneficial. This is one of the few beneficial ones, I believe. It used to be nothing. Now it's something. I'm not sure if it still makes it die faster than the big one. I literally have never not used it. I'm putting it in S. It's worth 5. You could, no, even if you would have it on no matter what. There's no reason to ever have this off. You would never, ever turn this off. Big blood spawn will die by the time it gets to you, while the small ones die slower than big. Okay, they did change it. Okay, that maybe makes it not S. Because I think you'd have a reason to turn it off then. Okay, it's a high A then, I would say. This is very, very good value. It's only 5, but there's very little reason not to use it ever. You would take the other 5s off before this one, I think. This would be a high A. Upset stomach. S is for things that are like, you have no reason to have it off. At any raid level, anything, you actually like cry because you can't turn it on because it's you're in entry mode going for gems. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, oh, I can't use that anymore. Oh, man. That's how good those are. That's what my S is for. Upset stomach. This is the hardest one to deal with on Zebak. It's also worth the most now. It used to be worth 5, which was really, really stupid. Upset stomach, what this does is makes the jugs that cleanse the poison around the barricade, the jugs in general, it makes them a 3x3 instead of a 5x5, which is a huge amount of area that these don't cover. Lately, I haven't had much trouble dealing with it, but it can just end your run very easily. This is a toughie. A lot of people try and get this off. I don't mind it at all. I haven't died to this in a long time, and I've used it quite a bit. B. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's high B. Yeah, that's fine. This goes in B. Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's bad. I know a lot of people struggle with it. I personally, I don't. I think it's worth using most of the time. I'd say it's not hard. It's just obnoxious. Once you know like how to deal with the bad spawns, it's tough to die to it, I feel like. Okay, the Akka ones are interesting. Okay. Akka ones are worth the most of any boss, besides Warden, which is weird. A lot of these are worth 20. Okay. I think Double Trouble's the worst Akka invocation. Double Trouble, what this does is... It says Akka will perform 2 special attacks at once. The way this works out is that every time Akka does a special attack, he will do Simon Says as well. Both of those. Every single time. The problem with that is anytime you're doing Simon Says, it's slowing down your raid. So this is bad for a couple reasons. It's slowing you down, and it is kind of tough to deal with. Easily an F. I wouldn't say F. It's worth 20 raid level. That is not nothing. This is one you start going for as you start pushing above expert. Whew. Ah, man. This is hard. I would say this is the worst Akka invocation, but it's worth a lot, and it does slow you down. I think high C? High C, low B. I'm thinking high C. Yeah, I think that's where it goes. This is probably the last Akka one you turn on, but it is a pretty good invocation to have on. It is not bad at all. It is really bad in teams too. That's fair. I didn't mention that. This is tough to deal with in teams. It is manageable in lower scale. At high scale, this is one you got to get off. That actually brings it down. I think it's still in C. It's not bad, but yeah. It's not the best Akka. Keepback. This was probably the second worst. Okay, what Keepback does is every time he uses a ranged or magic attack, he also melees you 2 ticks before it comes out. So what this means is there's a couple ways of dealing with it. You can pray melee and then the attack. Now, the problem with this is every time he melees you, he's also chipping you for damage. So this is just constant chip damage, the invocation. Even if you deal with it perfectly, you're taking more damage by default if you have this. Melee hits first, right? So when he's in melee mode, it doesn't even matter. So if you're doing butterfly and he stays melee, you will not encounter this. This will not do anything. When he switches, though, it starts causing issues. It becomes a problem. You can just pray against it. You can pray melee and then ranged, or melee and then mage. Other option is you can flinch it. So you can pray ranged, step back a tile right before he attacks, and hit him. In ranged mode, this loses ticks. He is 6 tick and we are 5 tick with a fang. So that's bad when he's ranged. You lose time. So you have the option between taking chip damage or flinching. When he's in magic mode, pipe actually fits perfectly. So it's shot, shot, step back, shot, step in, shot, shot, step back, shot, step in, shot. You don't lose any ticks with that. So it's actually really good with pipe. This is a free invocation if you can deal with it and set it up. So it's bad for ranged, it's fine for mage, and on melee, you don't even feel this. It's worth 10, which is not a lot. I think this is also C. It's better than Double Trouble is, I feel like. Is it? I don't know. It's worth half as much. That's a tough call. I'll look at it at the end. It's close to Double Trouble. Just because of that low raid level. It's in C, for sure. All right. Stay Vigilant. Stay Vigilant is second worst. We just go straight in order. Stay Vigilant, what it does is normally Akka is a set cycle. So when he attacks you, he does a set amount of hits. I think it's 6 or 7. And then he changes style. And then when he's ranged, he'll do 6 or 7 hits, change to mage, 6 or 7 hits, change back to melee. It's always the same. Stay Vigilant makes that random. They said that they made this less random, but it didn't feel any different. If you're butterflying, you want him not to switch off melee ever. So this can actually benefit you and give you more hits. It technically could be more than the normal amount that he does and give you more chances. It also could be worse. So this introduces RNG into the fight. Not really a big deal, though. And it's worth 15. That's a lot of raid level. Again, forgot to mention, this is really bad at Warden. So if you're doing the Akka side, like I said earlier, with Kefri, Aerial Assault makes that 3x3. Stay Vigilant makes him switch more often. This, people have said it does benefit you because when he's switching, he's not hitting you, which is good. But it also means you have to keep track of it, which is bad. Honestly, who's picking that side, though? Everybody goes Zebak Baba because there's no reason not to. There's none of that, the stipulations like I'm talking about on that side. So that's a non-issue if you take the other side. 15, it's pretty free. It can help you, technically. It can also hinder you. It's RNG. You do have those times where he hits you once and insta switches and you just want to scream. I'm feeling B. High B, I think. Yeah, I think that's right. There are reasons to turn this off, but they're few. They're few and far between. It's usually a good invocation. It's B. Low A, high B? Yeah, I think so. Feeling special. Okay. This is our first S. This is S. The reason this is S is it is worth a ton. It is worth 20 raid level. This is an extremely valuable raid level invocation. Other reason is this is the, I think, only invocation in the entire game that actually makes the raid faster. So what this does is it makes his general special attacks worse. So when you get the Black Shadow over you, it leaves a trail behind and in front of you instead of just in front of you. I think it works. And when you have the white explosion in teams, it makes it go in all directions, orthogonal and cardinal. The reason this is so good, though, is when he does Simon Says, it's 2 tick instead of 5 tick between the explosions, maybe 6 tick. This saves like a lot of time. This saves seconds. Every single Simon says it's good. It's worth a ton. It's very manageable. You can deal with it in teams pretty easily. There's no reason not to use this. Almost ever. Yeah. This is probably the best invocation. There's no reason to ever not run this, besides you're doing an entry mode and you wish you could. It's to the point where you might even turn it on in an entry mode just because it speeds up the raid, probably overall. This is really, really good. Okay. It does take some practice to deal with it. You gotta get used to it and learn to deal. Be quick on the Simon Says, but once you have it down, this speeds it up. So, really, really good. F tier for bad servers, yeah. Even the bad servers, this is manageable though. Okay, monkey ones. Mind the Gap is the funny one that everybody dies to. I would say this is free. In higher team scale, it gets worse. You're more likely to have someone die. It's only worth 10. This is one you could choose in teams to turn off. I wouldn't say it's dumb. I'd say this is relatively free with good coordination, or in solo, it's just free in solo. Like, you should be able to deal with this. You just do what I do, mark a line in the middle of the room where that's going to make you fall in the gap, and then avoid that line. With the HP plugin over in my half, you know it's every 66% and 33% he sends boulders. You know exactly when it's going to come out. It's very manageable with the right plugins. But it's only worth 10, and in teams it can be annoying. Low A, high B, I think. Beer A, beer A, beer A. A, B, A. I see more A. We'll do a low A. I think that's fair. Sure. This is pretty free. Free 10 raid. Gotta have faith. This is a sarcophagus one, right? Gotta have faith. Energy blast from open sarcophagi in Baba's room will deal additional damage based on the player's remaining prayer points. This is completely avoidable if you don't let the monkeys open the sarcophagi. It can be a problem if monkey room is not being dealt with properly. It's worth 10 as well. I feel like this is similar to Mind the Gap. I feel like this is almost the same. S, I wouldn't say S. It's very avoidable, but it can chip you down if you have a bunch of sarcophagi open. I do think this is freer than Mind the Gap. I don't think it's S. All right, I'll put it in A. I'll look at it later. Feeling A. Jungle Japes. This used to really be bad, actually. The bananas would hit you like 40 and stun you. Now they hit you like 15. Only worth 5 raid level. This is one you can easily turn off if you just need to lose 5 raid level. Or turn on if you need 5 raid level. It's not really a big deal. I think it's A as well. Like, not much reason not to turn it on. They hit 40 for some reason. When they did, it was bad. It's not too bad anymore, though. This would have been a lot lower pre-patch. I'll put it in A. Sure. I think it's lower than these, probably. It's very little raid level benefit, and it is annoying. It can get people killed. It's just kind of rare that it kills someone. Shaking things up. I have died to bananas. It's happened. On boulder phase, or, you land on one under Baba. It can kill you. It definitely can. Ooh, shaking things up. I always use this. This is pretty free. Even in 300, it's rare more than 1 or 2 even open. At 500, it could be an issue due to time, but 300 experts, you barely ever see them open. It can happen. It can cascade and be a problem if people die. I wouldn't say it's completely free, but it relatively free. Shaking things up. This makes the shockwave from Baba Slam damage a wider area. Does anyone know if this still takes longer than the small AoE? I think this does take longer. It does give you more time. Is that still the case? That hasn't been changed, right? I know they've messed with it a bit. It does? Yeah. This is S. This is S. There's no reason you would ever not use this. it is free, if that's the case. Yeah. There's another S. This makes your raid easier. And it gives you 10 raid level. It's worse than feeling special. It's not worth as much, and it doesn't speed it up as much. But it does make it easier. 1 tick longer. Yeah. Yeah, this is free. It makes the AoE around Baba when he does his special a little bigger, and also gives you more time. So it actually makes it easier to dodge. You just run out diagonally. I think it takes the same amount of time to run out of the AoE versus the smaller one. So there's no reason not to use this. This is one of the ones that would hurt you if you couldn't use it in entry. You'd wish you could. Yeah, it's free. 1 more tick of running. Okay, but you have more time to react. And the further out of the AoE you are, the less damage you take as well. So I think it just straight up benefits you, no matter what the case is. Okay. Boulder Dash. Boulder Dash, I'd say, is the worst monkey. This is one of the few bad ones. This is one that slows down the raid. So what this does is it decreases the gap between the boulders and boulder phase and makes them come out faster. Problem with that is it now becomes impossible to do a 1 boulder with this on. It is not possible unless you get behind the rock or whatever. Like, that's really rare that works out, that you can do that. So this is a minimum 2 boulder. You're losing time to this. It's like 4-second time loss every boulder, something like that. Also can get you killed really easily. In teams, this can get people hit really quickly. It's not great. This is one I like to get off if I have raid level to work with, because it slows you down and it gets you hit and it's annoying. I wouldn't say it's F. There's a very good reason to use it. It is worth 10 raid level. I mean, it's not very much, but there is a reason to get it on. Once you're pushing past expert, there is reason to use it. Before then, I'd try to keep it off. I'm feeling a low C. I think that's fair. It's not like you would just never, ever touch this, but it's not an ideal invocation if you can avoid it. Okay, last ones are Warden. We're almost through this. Way more free before the change. I couldn't even tell it made a difference before the change, but now it's not. It kind of sucks. Okay. Warden ones are worth a ton of raid level for the most part. All of these are tenors, and they're relatively free, except for Insanity, and we're going to get to that. Overclocked. Okay, Overclocked. I'd say this is the worst Warden one. This is the... Wait. No, it's not. Acceleration is. Sorry, I was getting them mixed up. Overclocked is, during the final phase of the Warden's fight, the slam attack is performed 1 tick faster. This is completely free. This is 100% free. This loses no time. It's a teensy bit faster. It's so slow by default anyway. Yeah, this is free raid level. A. Maybe you could argue low S. Oh, do I put it in S? There's like not much reason not to use this. Literally all it does is make it a tick faster. That's so minor. I think S. I think it's the lowest S, probably. It doesn't benefit you, but there's very, 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 very little reason not to use this. It's very free. Yeah, I think even at a 150 level, he'd probably use this. Overclock 2. During the final phase of the Warden's fight, the slam attack is performed 2 ticks faster. Also requires Overclock to be on, giving you even more reason to turn on Overclocked 1. So by default, this is less valuable than Overclocked 1 just because you require it. It's an option if you want to make it even faster. Even faster isn't a big deal. I'd say also S. Obviously, it's just slightly lower than Overclocked 1. It's free. There is no reason not to use it. Again, like both of these are free. A tick faster, I think it's 7 or 8 tick by default, so this brings it down to like 5 or 6 tick. That's so much time. You could go downstairs, make a sandwich, come back, and he'd be starting the next attack still. Not quite, but you get what I'm saying. These are both very, very, very free. Okay, penetration. Penetration does kind of suck. This is... A lot of people don't even know what this does. They just turn it on. But it makes all of the obelisk specials on P2 deal more damage. So you're thinking the clock attack, the radiating triangle things, you know what I'm talking about, the dropped skulls on the ground. These all hit you harder. And then it also takes your prayer off. That's what this does. Which has killed me a lot of times. This is one of the worst ones. It can get you comboed into about 70 damage if you get unlucky. The prayer disable is the problem. It's still pretty free. It's 10 raid level. I don't know if it's A still. It's not S. It's not A. It might be low A or high B, I feel like. It's not C. It's very, very free. I'm feeling B just because it can kill you, and there is good reason to get it off, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's still most of the time I think you would use it. Ancient Haste. So, wait, was I thinking of acceleration? Ah, okay. I had these mixed up. Okay. Ancient Haste is probably the worst. Okay. Ancient Haste makes the obelisk charge faster at the beginning. Makes you take more orbs. This is bad at a high raid level. At a lower raid level, you're going to kill it every time anyway. Take one orb no matter what. So it doesn't do anything. But at a high raid level, this can save you. Having this off can save you like 70 damage. If you're really unlucky, it could save you like 140 damage. Now, let's say like roughly 100, like 70 damage it's saving you. You simply tickied at a high raid level. Would you believe I can't use Bruise at a high raid level? I have to tank a bunch of damage. There's good reason to get this off. Even at like a 500 level, you might want to turn this off. I've seen people do it. I think at a low raid level, there's very little reason not to use it. So it's only like that one stipulation. Like at a really high raid level, it kind of sucks. These also hit you harder at a higher raid level, so... there is reason to turn it off, but very little. It sounds like an A to me. That sounds like an A to me. No, I'm turning it on A. Even at 500, I keep it on. But there is good reason to turn it off at that level. Just almost always you'd have this thing on. Okay, acceleration is what I thought that was. Acceleration makes the second phase of Warden's fight. The obelisk does more special attacks, and it makes the Warden attack faster. This is also bad. This is more chip damage. I don't know how much faster they attack. I think it's very minor. It's like a tick faster or something. The faster special attacks, if you're good, like dealing with them is not really a problem. Only worth 10, though. I'd get penetration off before this one. Any day of the week. Is it A? I feel like it's also A. I don't think there's much reason to have this off. Yeah, we'll keep it on A. I'm feeling that. That feels good to me. Okay. And Insanity. Okay. Insanity is... This is going to upset people. That's where Insanity goes. It goes in S. I'd say Insanity is not free at all, but it is worth 50 raid level. It is... Why would you not have this on? It's worth 50. There is no downside to it. There's no chip damage. If you can deal with it, this is 0 added damage and no downside whatsoever. I'm gonna rank all of these in a second. But it's an S. That's where it goes. If you're struggling with Insanity, I'd highly recommend learning it. Send some 150 or 300 level without it, and then just practice. The skulls are always in the same place, so you can predict where they're going to be. Also, having HP percentage on the boss is helpful because you know when they're going to come out. It's at every 20%. So it's at 80, 60, 40, 20. They always come out. So with those two pieces of info, it's very easy to deal with. The faster attack speed of the Warden does not matter. It's so easy to dodge. It makes it 3 tick. It's still very fast. It's worth 50 raid level, though. Like, you'd be crazy not to take this. There is one bad thing. It does. I read that it makes the floor rip up faster on P4. Typically, that's a non-issue, though. And for 50 raid level, I don't care. I don't care what it is. This is staying on. It's silly not to take this almost always. At like a 150 level, you don't take it. If you're like speedrunning. That's like it. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. In teams, it's quite free. It's free. Always. It's just free. Yeah. The red skulls in teams even, that makes it even less of a problem. It's only a problem with the red skulls in solo. But in solo, it's really easy to deal with that as well. The red skulls, if you miss one of them, it hits you a 70, roughly, depending on the raid level. Like if you don't kill it fast enough and you leave one skull up, he'll hit you a 70. If you miss 2 skulls, he will kill you. So that's the scary thing. But the thing is, you have, I think, 3 ticks you're allowed to lose. It is a lot of time. Just click the skulls. Most important thing is just be in the right position, and then you're good. Yeah, I would say this is pretty much always a take. There's very, very, very little reason to take it. Good enough that it's in S. All right, let's look at sorting this. Let's do S really quick. Okay. Feeling Special, I think, is the best invocation in the entire game. I think that stays right where it is. This is the best. This is the only one that speeds up the raid. Everything else is helpful, or gives a ton of raid level, or something like that. This is just, it speeds it up. It's actually the only beneficial invocation, I think, in the entire game. So yeah, this is always you're gonna have this on. Shaking things up is lower. I'd say Insanity's probably second. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And then shaking things up. Because Baba being easier is nice, but it's like, you don't have to have that on. Insanity, yeah. 50 raid level. Overclocked. These are both the same. This is technically worse than overclocked. I like this. This is S. This is good. Okay. This is going to be a little harder. These are weird. Let me put these off to the side. I don't know where those are going to fit in. This is going to be hard to sort. A is the hardest one to sort by far. How is Feeling Special faster? It makes Simon Says faster, which means it lasts less long, which means you're doing damage more to Akka. So this actually speeds up the raid. Which of these are the best? I think Not Just Ahead is like a given. You'd always have it on. This is a high A. Deadly Prayers is up there as well. I'll put this here for now. Deadly Prayers is, it comes out to roughly half an extra restore you need to bring in. It is incredibly free. Incredibly. Walk the Path is a free 50. It's not free. It does increase the health, which does slow the raid down. But it's worth 50. It is worth a lot. This is up there. I don't feel like it's next. Is anything else better? Maybe it is next. I'll put it there for now. It's worth 50. That's so much. And it's not really that detrimental. It's pretty free. Oh, man. Okay. On a Diet is so free too. Okay, I think On a Diet is next. On a Diet's only worth 15, but it's also very, very free. There's very little reason not to run On a Diet, almost at any raid level. No Help Needed is lower. There is good reason not to take it. Need Some Help is given. You're almost never running just no supply. There are cases. This is a given. You're going to be running this almost always. I think this is next. No Help Needed is lower. It's somewhere over here. Gotta Have Faith. Lively Larva. Ancient Haste Acceleration. This is so tough to sort. I think Lively Larva is just free. So anything that's like just free is a high A. On a Diet being disrespected, there's reasons not to run it, I think. Bandages are free, like health, like at no loss. Like brewing lowers your levels where bandages are just health. So bandages are actually like really underrated, I feel like. But I'm putting it here because it's a low raid level and it is free, but it is not as free as people claim it is, I don't think. It's still really, really good. Arterial Spray. I gotta check what some of these are. Increased range. This is free in solo and relatively free in group. Which ones are completely free? Is Blood Thinners freer than Arterial Spray? No, I would not say so. I think Arterial Spray is going here. Mind the Gap can kill you. Gotta Have Faith is pretty free. Jungle Japes is pretty free. These are both higher than Mind the Gap. This is really hard. Blood Thinners, I feel like, is next freest. Acceleration, Ancient Haste. These are both not completely free, but they're close. These are the hardest to sort. These are the hardest. Okay, I gotta say, Gotta Have Faith is freer than Mind the Gap, I think. And I think Jungle Japes is also freer. Yep, I think Mind the Gap, because it's also relatively free. Ancient Haste. Which one was Ancient Haste? Let me get it straight, because I had them mixed up. This makes the orb charge okay, this is next worst. This is bad at 500 level, and that's it. This makes the obelisk charge faster. And acceleration is P2, you get more chip damage. Yeah, I'm feeling this. Oh, no help needed. Why do I put no help needed? I forgot about no help needed. No help needed is bad, but it's also worth a ton. It's worth 40. Yeah, it's like a mid-A or low-A. I think just below Mind the Gap. I'm feeling that. No help needed. This is really, really good, and it's underrated. Yeah. Yep. Yes. And these I don't know. These are like impossible. Sure, hardcore and then walk for it. Okay, whatever. They just need to go in the tier. Those are hard to sort. Is this in terms of difficulty for points it gives? It is in terms of the value of each invocation. So these ones in S are all, you'd be dumb not to use them, or they benefit you. Like, you'd be dumb not to use them. They benefit you or are worth so much you have to use them. These are, you would almost always use them. All right, B. B. Also tough, at least there's less. Pathmaster's worse than Pathfinder. Keep that in mind. This is always going to be lower. Okay, Jog Fork just goes at the bottom because I don't know. These are just going to go at the bottom by default. I don't know how to sort them. It depends on what you're doing, whether you use it or not. Penetration can get you killed. Very rarely, though. I feel like penetration is a higher B. Blowing Mud might be better. Yeah, Blowing Mud's better. Penetration's slightly worse, I think. Blowing Mud is very rarely going to get you killed unless you're unorganized in a team. Only in a team. In a solo, it's completely free. This is definitely higher. This is a highest B. Penetration takes a prayer off and can get you comboed. Very rare that it kills you, but it can. It's worse at higher raid level. Nah, Stay Vigilant is more free. Let's think about this. Stay Vigilant is like sometimes bad if you're unlucky. It can be good if you're lucky. Oh, Stay Vigilant better than Blowing Mud. That's hard. That's actually hard. I'm leaving it like that. It's a tough call. Stay Vigilant is technically bad if you take Akka side, but you shouldn't on Warden. And it's arguably bad on Akka. Arguably good. I think Blowing Mud better just because it's free and solo. This is tough. I think these are very, very close. Staying Vigilant, how much is Staying Vigilant worth? Is it 15? 15. It's worth more as well. I'm leaving it where it is. That's a tough call. These are very, very, very close. Pathfinder's worth 40, which is massive, and it's relatively free. I think that would be tough not to put it there. I think Pathmaster being only worth an extra 10 makes it a tough call. It's still good. I think this is lower B. Okay, Dehydration has drawbacks. It's also worth a ton. Oh, it's hard. Upset stomach is worth how much? 15? Dehydration is worth 30. This depends on the raid level. Like at a really high raid level, this is great. I really like dehydration. Nah, upset stomach first. Upset stomach. I'm thinking that. Penetration's like pretty free, but not that bad. It can get you killed. It's kind of annoying. Not worth a lot. Upset stomach's worth more, but it can get you killed if you're not paying attention. If you slip for even a second, you just end the raid. Dehydration is worth a ton, but it has a lot of drawbacks. Path Master's only worth an extra 10 over Pathfinder. Yeah. Yep. And then these, I don't know. Softcore is nice if you want to drop 10 raid level and save money. Jog for it. You use it sometimes. Yeah, I think that's B. That seems good to me. Okay, C. I'm thinking Boulder Dash is the worst of these. Worst of these, so it's at the bottom. What am I doing? More overloads is also low. Put these off to the side. Okay, aerial assault is higher. Double trouble's worth more than aerial assault, but it slows you down. It's bad in teams. Aerial assault is bad in teams. It doesn't slow you down. I think you missed Deadly Prayers. Deadly Prayers is right here. Second in A. It's amazing. Oh, keep back sucks too. Oh man, this is hard. The differing raid level makes this tough. This is worth 10, and it's chip damage. This is worth 20, slows the raid down, which is worse than chip damage in my opinion, but it's worth more. Okay. Okay, I'm going to do this. Double Trouble, I think, then Keep Back, and then Aerial Assault. I feel like you turn this off less than these two. These two are ones you are kind of a go-to to turn off. Path Seeker, sure, that can go here. This is very, very rarely used. It's not worth a lot. You typically would go up to Pathfinder. Unless you just need a little bit of raid level. Then it's like, why not? Boulder Dash is a slight slowdown, and it also can get you killed. And it's only worth 10. How much are more Overlords worth? Is it worth a 10 as well, or is it worth 15? 15. This is a lot slower than Boulder Dash is. But Boulder Dash, I feel like, is more dangerous than more Overlords is. Yeah, I'm still putting Boulder Dash before it. I feel like you'd turn off Overlords before Boulder Dash, if you could. Yep. And these just, I don't know. They stay at the bottom. I really don't know. Yeah, I think that's right. That looks good to me. Okay. Let's see here. Try again. Persistence. Okay. Try again. I don't know. These just go at the bottom. Okay. It's egregious. These are like impossible to sort. This is correct. Medic is the worst invocation in the game. Quiet Prayers is the second worst invocation in the game. Overly Draining is the third worst invocation in the game. That is set. There's no question in my mind. That is this order. Need Less Help is really bad for multiple reasons. It's much less value than the other ones. I'll just put it. Yeah, sure. Don't use this. These, why would you turn them on? I don't know why. You just want raid level at like entry mode. This is like trolling. I don't know why you would ever have these on besides just softcore. I think this is correct. I think that's it. Yeah, all of these are dumb to have on if you can avoid it. I use Overly Draining sometimes at 540 raid level. That's the only reason I use it. If you can avoid using it, don't. Avoid using all of these. These are all terrible. I think that is it. Do I feel good about this? One final look over? Feeling special? S looks great. Deadly Prayers. I see people in the chat questioning Deadly Prayers. Deadly Prayers is so little prayer drain. I think people don't understand how little prayer drain it is. It's completely free. This should not hurt you in any way. Like with the supplies you have, you should be able to get it done, like without even changing anything. Medic should be on the sidelines. Down here. This shouldn't be an invocation. I hate it for so many ways. Walk the path. Yeah. Looking good. Any other questions from chat? Anyone hesitating on one of my choices? Anything that people think is ridiculous? You only need 1 salt per raid with need some help. So need no help. Where is that? No help needed. This gives you 1 salt. So there's no reason to do need some help. That's also only 1 salt. This is just straight better. It's worth a ton more raid level. Boulder dash to make the raid faster, technically. No, it slows it down. Need some help is higher though. Yeah, okay. I think I'm feeling good. I don't see any like major qualms in the chat. I feel happy with this. Where would you have put silent prayers if it was still in the game? That's a good question. Bottom F. Worse than medic. Only thing worse than medic would be silent prayers if that still existed. Yeah, I think it's worse than medic. Yep. It was worth 25, I think, right? That sounds right. I think it was worth 25. Or 30. I don't know what it was worth. Doesn't matter. It was awful. It was so bad.